afternoon. I'm John Jackson, Chair of DeKalb County Democrats. Welcome to our 2020 County Convention. I speak before you today as the first African-American man to chair this county party. Why is this significant? A Democratic historian informed me that we are one of the oldest county parties in the nation. In the 1820s, the Democratic Party was founded in America. By the 1840s, Democratic clubs had formed all over the USA. In Georgia, Democratic clubs formed around Atlanta, and one of those was DeKalb County Democrats. This means that the DeKalb Democrats are even older than the Democratic Party of Georgia, which was founded in 1872. We are in an era where we're breaking even more barriers. Democrats took the House in 2018 because so many amazing women candidates ran. One of those women was our very own Lucy McBath, whose district contains North DeKalb, North Fulton, and East Cobb. But DeKalb County is the county where she performed the strongest. We were her wall in flipping the 6th congressional district, and we will be her wall on November 3rd when defending it. Our DeKalb County Committee has worked hard to get to where we are now. We have 16 House districts, led by motivated House district chairs. These House district chairs are our most grassroots leaders in our DeKalb County party. They do great work, and we wouldn't be the committee we are without them. We have a robust communications program, so that information is always being properly communicated via email, social media, and our website. Our bylaws co-chairs have helped modernize our bylaws to best serve our committee. We have a strong party development program, which makes sure that our members are always plugged in. We have a robust voter protection to make sure that we are working to protect elections. We have an amazing events program led by Gloria Moore, whose great work has helped to expand our footprint and reach. We have affiliated groups like DeKalb Democratic Women, led by Joe Handy Sewell, reaching our party's largest voting bloc, women. Then there's the DeKalb Young Democrats, led by my wife, Jacinda Jackson. She's done a remarkable job targeting thousands of young people in DeKalb County for this historic election. Everything we do on this DeKalb County Democratic Committee is to support Karen Davenport and the Get Out the Vote Committee. The precinct organizing at DeKalb Dems is reaching thousands of DeKalb residents a month, making sure that direct voter contact is happening on the precinct and block level. We are a diverse county, from Dunwoody to Stone Mountain, from Decatur to Stonegrass, from Brookhaven to East Atlanta. We love our families. We are active in our churches, synagogues, and mosques. We are kind. We put the work first. We stand up for those in need. We show love to our neighbors. We believe in the mission, which is to turn on our county and turn this state blue. To a person who isn't political, you may ask, what does it even mean to go blue? It means healthcare. It means properly funded education. It means protecting workers. It means vibrant communities. It means a better quality of life. The DeKalb County dream is the American dream. We know that turning Georgia blue is better for achieving the American dream. How democratic is DeKalb? DeKalb County is more democratic than blue state strongholds like Los Angeles County, California. Turning out DeKalb to a maximum will put us over the top in November. It will deliver 16 electoral votes for Joe Biden. It'll elect John Ossoff to the U.S. Senate. It'll elect a Democrat in the U.S. Senate special election. We are building into Georgia's blue wall. With your help, we can turn it into a wall that's impenetrable. But I'm telling you this because of a reason. I have an ask. I am asking you to get off the sidelines and be more involved in shaping the future of our county, state, and nation. Become a precinct volunteer. Make some calls to voters. Text voters. Write postcards. Do whatever it is you can to make sure we get these voters to the polls. Donate if you can, because when we have more resources, we have more options to engage the community. We have to actively participate in democracy, or we may very well lose it. Join the movement of a lifetime. Sign up to be involved now at decabdems.com, and we will win on November 3rd. Now I'm going to go into introducing our guest. This next guest is a freedom fighter, progressive champion, and distinguished member of Congress from California's 13th district. She calls Oakland home. Here's a fun fact. While my father, John Jackson Jr., was playing football at UC Berkeley in the early 70s, she was at the same school completing her master's in social work. This woman has been leading movements since she was an undergraduate student at Mills College. In fact, she was a member of the Black Panther Party, which stood for lifting the people. She was and still is a revolutionary woman. It is my great honor to introduce Congresswoman Barbara Lee.
First, let me just thank you, John, for your bold and your brilliant leadership, and also for that spirited and historical introduction. Let me just say what an honor it is. I have to be with you today. I've had the privilege and honor to visit Georgia many times to help Democrats win these important elections. I would be right there now with you if we could be together, but we are still together virtually. And I just want to say how proud I am to serve in Congress with such fighters and bold leaders as Congressman Hank Johnson and Congresswoman Lucy McBath, and also, of course, Sanford Bishop and David Scott. And I look forward to Nakima Williams joining us with your great delegation in Georgia, and Reverend Warnock in the Senate. Let me tell you, you truly are leading the blue wave, and I just can't wait until November 3rd to make sure that we win and we turn this vote out, because I know Georgia, and I've seen how Georgians go to the polls. And so just let me say also today, I'm so honored, and I saw her earlier, to be with my sister, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who fights for justice and equality each and every day. Now, we all know that our country is experiencing a health, economic, and moral crisis. Americans have died from this pandemic that Donald Trump has turned his back on. Tens of millions of people are lining up at food banks, not sure where they will sleep at night or how they will be able to pay their rent. And yes, we are angry over systemic racism that Donald Trump has turned his back on and refuses to deal with. We always say that each election is the most important of our lifetime. Well, not only is that true about this election, this one is also a matter of life or death. We have a candidate in Joe Biden who is the polar opposite, the direct opposite to Donald Trump. Alongside alongside President Biden to be, our vice president to be, my good friend Kamala Harris, who I am proud to say, incidentally, was born in my district in Oakland, California. We have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who will work each and every single day to bring and build back an America better, mind you, much better, with a clean economy that puts millions to work, with good paying jobs, an America that will work each and every single day to correct the injustices of the past. And yes, they will move forward and lead to create a more perfect union, which our country deserves to finally attain. Under their leadership, we will get there. We have a clear choice, mind you, between Donald Trump, who has caused so much suffering for millions of Americans, and if re-elected, will continue to flare the flames of hatred and division, and really has taken our democracy to the brink. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who are ready on day one, they are ready to deliver results for working families and will work to heal this country along with your Georgia delegation to bring us together to address the challenges that we face, and they will do this head on. So, my brothers and sisters, let us organize and mobilize like our lives and those of our family depend on it, because it does. Let us vote in honor of our beloved Georgia's own John Lewis, who said, and let me tell you, and let me make sure I read this correctly. John said, it's so important to remember John as we work toward November 3rd. He said, democracy is not a state. It is an act. He said, it is an act. And that each generation, that means us, that each generation must do its part. So let's do our part. He left us with his marching orders. So we cannot and we must not let John down. All eyes are on Georgia. Let me tell you, California is working to help you to turn this vote out. But let me tell you, we've got to do everything we can together to make sure that we have the highest turnout ever in Georgia, the highest turnout ever. And so let's turn out to elect Democrats throughout the state for every single office. But let's also turn out to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who will, and we know that with the Georgia delegation, who will build back better this country. They will build America to move forward in this country, taking on the challenges of our day to ensure that everyone has liberty and justice for all. Finally, thank you again. Good luck, and I hope to keep working with you, even if it is virtually. Miss seeing everybody.
Thank you so much, Representative Lee. DeKalb Democrats, are you fired up and ready to go? Because I know that I am. My name is Carly Swift, and I am the chair for House District 89. Shout out to State Representative B. Wynn, who is the state representative for House District 89, all the post seat holders, and Dems in HD 89. I have the honor of introducing another special guest, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley is an activist, a legislator, and a survivor. She has made a lot of firsts in her life. First, the first woman of color to be elected to the Boston City Council in its 100-year history, and most recently, the first woman of color to be elected to Congress from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Throughout her first term in Congress, Congresswoman Pressley has been a champion for justice, for reproductive justice, justice for immigrants, transportation and housing justice, justice for aging Americans, justice for workers, justice for survivors of sexual violence, and justice for the formerly and currently incarcerated. In addition to her national work, Congresswoman Pressley makes time to support Democrats across the country, including stumping for candidates right here in Georgia. We are so excited to have Congresswoman Pressley join us today. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Congresswoman Pressley, thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carly. Can everybody see me and hear me? Are we good? All right. Well, first, I want to say that I am joining you from the city of Boston, and today is Black Joy Day in the city of Boston. And what gives me joy? Movement building, coalition building. And so this is very apropos that we would be coming together today in virtual community. Again, thank you, Carly, for that introduction, and thank you for your contributions to the movement. Thank you to DeKalb County Democrats for the invitation. I am so grateful to be here with all of you today. Thank you for moving with intention and choosing to take a stakehold in our democracy, especially in this moment when our country is at such an important crossroads, at such an inflection point. You know, I have many titles, policymaker, mother, survivor, but I think that which best defines me is that I am Sandy's daughter. I am my mother's daughter. May she rest in peace and power. My mother, my forever shero, the woman who gave me my roots and my wings. My mother was a tenants' rights organizer. She was a community activist. So I grew up with an incredible representation of activist leadership. And my mother did not read me traditional bedtime stories. She read me instead the speeches of Barbara Jordan and Shirley Chisholm, and instilled in me the value and the possibilities of movement building and the expectation of movement building and civic engagement. Now, we were growing up in the residual aftermath of the failed war on drugs, of many short-sighted draconian policies like redlining. There were so many reasons why we could have justifiably felt powerless. But my mother, who was a super voter, made sure I knew that being a super voter was our superpower, and that on every day, but especially on election day, that we were powerful. When she would take me with her into that booth and pull that curtain, and she would say my whole name. I'm not giving y'all my middle name. She'd turn to me and say my whole name. She'd say, Ayanna, Never forget that we are powerful. I believed her then, and I still do. I would come out of that booth and stand just a little bit taller. Now, here's the thing. The incredible gains that we've realized as a society, elected officials like to take the credit. But those gains were made possible because of movement builders, community builders, super voters, civic agents, change makers, table shakers, like all of you. Reverend Barber keeps reminding us that we are in this moment of national reckoning, which demands of all of us a third reconstruction. And I'm enlisting all of you in that third reconstruction. The only way to effectuate change in a deep, meaningful, and sustainable way is to build an active and engaged movement committed to partnership and to progress. And that is the task, as well as the opportunity that we have before us right now. Today, our communities are facing overlapping crises, public health crises because of this pandemic, economic inequality, which existed before but has only been exacerbated, and then the only thing that COVID-19 could not kill, systemic racism. And these crises have been exacerbated by an occupant of the White House and Republicans in Congress who at every opportunity, and in the Senate, which is why we're keeping an eye on and doing everything we can to make sure that we get John Ossoff there and Pastor Warnock, and very committed to making sure we continue to strengthen our good work in the House, which is why we need my sister Nakima Williams there as well. But at every opportunity, they've turned their backs on the American people and chosen instead to advance bigoted, racist, discriminatory policies. When it comes to this administration and their policies, the cruelty is the point. And when it comes to their culture, their callousness and corruption is the point. People ask me every day if I'm growing cynical or apathetic, given the scale and the gravity of the challenges that face us. And my response is always the same. I don't have the luxury. You don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury. We have no choice but to stand in the gap in this moment. As my big sister, I call her OG Squad, Barbara Lee, alluded to there, this is more than just the most consequential election of our lifetimes. This is the most consequential election in our nation's history. So now we have to concentrate all our efforts, expend our sweat equity to evict the occupant of this White House. He knows that the only way that he can seek to hold on to that power that he has is to cheat and to steal. So we have got to elect Democrats up and down the ballot who are going to legislate our values. And it is incumbent on all of us, again, to make sure that we take back the White House, but also regain control of the Senate and the state of Georgia. And all of you, Georgia is in play. All eyes are on Georgia, as Representative Lee said, not only in winning the White House, but especially for the Senate, and again, increasing our majority in the House. Now, with Vice President Biden and Senator Harris, we have the opportunity to show the strength of this movement and to elect leaders who are compassionate after 4 years of a deficit of empathy. Leaders who are compassionate, invested in working in partnership, and committed to making real progress towards the systemic change our communities so desperately need and deserve. I'm proud of this ticket, but I know too that electing them on November 3rd is not the end of our work or our journey. Electing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris means that they are the door, not the destination. It's still going to be on us to organize, to advocate, and to legislate policies in deep partnership with community, which will advance racial, economic, education, transit, housing, healthcare, and environmental justice for all of our communities. Now, my mother told me in life, there's a difference between your job and your work. Your job is what pays the bills, but your work with a capital W is the work of the upliftment and the betterment and the advancement of community. So we find ourselves in an unprecedented moment, experiencing unprecedented hurt. But this demands of each of us unprecedented organizing, unprecedented mobilizing, and unprecedented hope. Between now and November, each one of us must do everything we can to engage folks in our community, to expand the electorate. Do not make assumptions about who desires and deserves a seat at the table of democracy. Talk to everybody. Don't make assumptions. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, talk to your family, and make clear the stakes of this election. So thank you. Thank you for caring about your neighbor, your community, our democracy. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your commitment to partnership and civic engagement during the most consequential election in our lifetimes. Our work with a capital W is just getting started.
Thank you so much. That was fabulous. We really appreciate you being here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is William Hastings ready to introduce our next guest?
I am.
All right, William, you are on.
All right, so my name is William Hastings. I am the chairperson from House District 85, and I have the great pleasure of introducing one of our amazing leaders here in Georgia. As the state senator representing District 39 and the chairperson of the Democratic Party of Georgia, she's leading the way to make sure we do everything we can to turn Georgia blue on November 3rd. And without further ado, I won't take up any more of your time. I give you our very own, soon-to-be Congresswoman from the 5th Congressional District.
Hey, y'all. How are you? Good afternoon, DeKalb Democrats and all of my Democratic family. Thank you, Congresswoman Presley. Miss you. Wish you could be here with us in person because, you know, we hit the campaign trail together in Georgia and do all we can to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. I am State Senator Nikema Williams, chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Georgia, and I'm the Democratic nominee for Georgia's 5th Congressional District. I've been looking forward to this event all week, and I'm so excited to join y'all today with this lineup of incredible Democratic leaders. I want to take this opportunity to thank your chairman, John Jackson, and all of you for everything that you do and your service to this party. Your hard work and dedication is so appreciated, and it is a huge inspiration to me. I could not be more proud of all of the ways that you're representing our party with diligence, pride, integrity, boldness. Exactly what we need right now in our state and in our country. I know that we wouldn't be where we are as a party and a state without the work of the DeKalb Democrats. This November is the most consequential election of our lifetimes. At the Democratic Party of Georgia, we've been doing the work across the state to make sure that we're ready. We've greatly expanded our team. We've contacted hundreds of thousands of voters, built a world-class voter protection program, and will continue to fight on behalf of all Georgians for their right to safely cast their ballots. At this time in history, people across America are all worried about our health, our families, our communities, and our country. We face challenging and unprecedented times this year. We've watched our fellow Georgians and Americans fall ill and suffer unnecessarily at the hands of our government and COVID-19. We've stood in long lines for hours in the Georgia heat and rain just to exercise our right to vote. We've seen Black Americans' lives in jeopardy from the legacy of white supremacy, from the scourge of COVID-19, and a president and a Georgia Republican Party who just don't seem to care. These times show us why our work is just so important, because when we're successful, we'll ensure that every Georgian can get the support that they need to make it through these hard times, from healthcare to protecting small businesses to guaranteeing our democracy for generations to come. It's all on the line this year, y'all. And we must make sure that all Georgians are able to exercise their democratic right to vote and protect our democracy at all costs. In the midst of this unique time in our American history, we're here today to tell you that our priority has not changed. Our team has worked nonstop to make sure that we can protect both our right to vote and our health. Yep, we're seeing challenges that none of us ever considered this time last year. And we're planning for a historic 2020 for Georgia Democrats. But I'm here to tell you that our team is ready for this fight, and I'm glad to have you in the fight with me. Georgia Democrats were the first state party in the nation to have a full-time voter protection program, and our team has expanded and will successfully help every single Georgian exercise their right to vote by mail, early, in person, or on election day. It's your choice. We know that we'll keep seeing pushback from the Republicans as we get closer than ever to turning Georgia blue. It's the same tired playbook that they've tried for the last decades, and it's the same fight that Democrats keep winning in the courts if necessary. Thanks to the hard work of Georgia Democrats, the nation knows what we've all known for a long time here, that Georgia is a battleground state. I'm so glad that we have this time together to become even more inspired to turn Georgia blue this November, to reconnect with our fellow Democrats. I miss seeing y'all in person as we reaffirm our commitment to our democratic values, But let us do this in the spirit of our hero, Congressman John Lewis. Y'all, we have a legacy to live up to. And this year, we're going to make some good trouble. We're going to fight for our democracy like never before. We're going to fight together for the full promise of America. We're so lucky to have learned from and loved Mr. Lewis. He was our country's greatest champion in the fight for justice and equality. And he showed every one of us how to put the people first. From Troy to Selma, from Montgomery to Atlanta, he brought hope and change to the people. He proved to us that Black voices and Black voters matter. As we remember John Lewis and lift up his spirit, we know that he left us with a job to do. We know, just like Mr. Lewis taught us, that our vote is the most powerful nonviolent tool that we have in a democratic society, and we must expand access to the ballot so that our democracy is fully realized. We must register voters across the country, help every single Georgian cast their ballot safely, and when we win in November, we must pass the new Voting Rights Act to make sure that the right to vote is truly accessible to every single person in this country. And I know Democrats, y'all, we're ready to answer the call. This year, we'll vote in record numbers in honor of Congressman Lewis and all of those who fought for us to have the right to cast a ballot. We'll fight for every voter, stand up for every voter facing long lines and disenfranchisement. Together, we have a big task ahead of us. We're closer than ever to creating real change in Georgia and across our entire nation in November. Together, we can bring affordable health care to our families, good public schools for our children, and good paying union jobs for our communities. But first, we need to elect strong Democrats from the school board to the White House. We have Joe Biden and my soror Kamala Harris as the next president and vice president of the United States. And we have Jon Ossoff as Georgia's next U.S. Senator. And we have the largest slate of state candidates running since the Reconstruction era. We're on a path to victory, Georgia Democrats. And DeKalb, I'm glad that y'all are with me on this journey. I'm ready for the fight. I'm glad that you're with me. Thank you, everyone, and let's get this done.
Thank you so much, Nekima. We appreciate you being here and spending your time with us this afternoon. We would now like to show a tribute to John Lewis.
Well, I marched through the storm, and I marched through the rain, and I marched through some sickness and some heartache and pain. And I laid on the ground, and I looked up at the sky, and I prayed to the Lord up above and asked why. But oh no, I'm not tired, I'm not through marching yet, and I'm a marching till I die. Oh children, this you can bet. So we say I'm gonna sing out, and I'm gonna march on, and everybody said I'm gonna sing out, gonna march on. I'm gonna march on. Gonna put one foot in front of the other foot. Yes, I am. I'm gonna sing out. Gonna march on. I'm gonna march on. I got to keep on keeping on. Yes, I have. Gonna march on. I'm gonna march on. Oh, well, my grandmama marched, and my granddaddy too, and I never thought it'd be something that I have to do, but I'll march if I must. I got a mission, you see, and I'll be damned if my children have to march for me. Now I believe in the power of raising my voice, and I believe in the power of making some noise. Now if I die, I can't sing, and if I can't sing, I'll die. So we should sing for one another. Now let's give it a try. So we say,
Extraordinary honor for both the students and John Lewis himself. What a beautiful, beautiful tribute to him.
I was only 18 when I heard him at the March on Washington.
I hope y'all can see me. My name is Amy Swigert, and I am chair for House District 79. And for those of you who don't know, House District 79 is the very northernmost part of DeKalb County. And up until about 2 years ago, we were the reddest part of DeKalb County. But in 2018, thanks to the work of this committee and thanks to the work of so many just regular everyday folks coming out to make a change and make a difference in our district, we were able to flip our state House seat, our state Senate seat, and we were able to elect our next speaker. And I was so honored to be asked to introduce Lucy McBath to you all because she's just such a special person. The very first time I had the opportunity to speak one-on-one with Lucy, it was at a campaign kickoff in 2018 in Chamblee. And I had so many things I wanted to talk to her about, but I knew in the back of my mind I had the unfortunate obligation of telling her about my neighbors, Jeff and Margaret Binkley. And the Binkleys and I and my family, we've lived in the same neighborhood for many, many years. And unfortunately, right before that event in Chamblee, Jeff and Margaret lost their beautiful daughter, Maura, who is just a few years older than my daughter, to a shooting in the Tallahassee yoga studio. And so I knew I had to tell Lucy about them. And before I could even get the words out of my mouth, Lucy just grabbed my arm and said, I have to talk to them. I have to talk to them. And not only did she talk to them, but she visited them in their home. She invited them to Washington, D.C. She had them come to the State of the Union, and Jeff Binkley was able to testify in front of Congress. And so I just think that sums up who Lucy is. She is someone with enormous heart and someone who really knows how to put pain and turn it into purpose. And so I'm just so proud of her and that she's my congresswoman. And so I wanted to thank Lucy for embracing the Binkleys. And I wanted to thank her for passing universal background checks. I wanted to thank her for fighting to lower drug costs. I wanted to thank her for the work she did to create programs that help veterans. She just is a special, special person, and we have to get her reelected, y'all. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my Congresswoman, Lucy McBath.
Thank you for that great introduction. And thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you. And I'm sorry I'm going to be a little quick. I'm running from one event to the next, but I'm so excited to be with you this afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for making this event today, making it happen. And I also want to just take a moment to thank Chairman John Jackson of the DeKalb Dems. Thank you so much for doing this today. And also Nikema Williams. We owe you such a great debt of gratitude for all that you continue to do for Georgia politics. You are a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to get you in Washington because, yes, I need some help. I need you and Carolyn there to help us really build the Georgia political dynamics. We're just such a force to be reckoned with, and I need help from women like you to help me build this train and run this train in Washington. But thank you so much for the DeKalb Dems for hosting this event today. And thank you for all the much needed work that you're doing right here at home, right here in my own backyard. Your dedication and your never ending spirit and the pursuit of Georgia politics that works for everyone. Georgia politics that works for every one of us. That's needed now more than ever before. I am Congresswoman Lucy McBath. I represent Georgia's 6th Congressional District. I think most of you know how I've actually come to the politics here in Georgia. And I now represent the seat that was once held by Newt Gingrich. And yes, I'm the first minority in the history of Georgia to ever hold this seat. And we know that I came to politics by a racially motivated shooting of my son, Jordan. But the thing that we've seen recently is that Jordan's story is unfortunately not unique. We see this happening again and again and again throughout the country. So I know that we've got a lot of work to do yet. And I know that we have to join forces. We all have to work together to make sure that this country is more equal and more just, and that Georgia is more equal and more just. This is the new South, I always like to say, and it must represent and it must look like the diversity of people that live and work here in our communities every single day. And that means that we'll be counting on every single one of us. We all have to stand together now. No one operating in silos anymore. Every one of us on this ticket must work together. Every volunteer must work together. There's so much at stake, and no one individual person can fix the problems that Georgia has, that the nation has. But we all have to work together, because working together is making sure that we are progressively advocating for change at every level, whether it be state, federal, the local level, all of us fighting hand in hand for the change that we so desperately need in this country. We have to make sure that we are putting the country back together again. This, as it has been said earlier by my colleagues, Ayanna Pressley and Barbara Lee, and what they've said is absolutely true. We are at a crossroads in this nation right now. This election will determine what happens to the future of our generations and our communities going forward. And for us to stand by now and refuse to act, we are complicit in dismantling that sense of democracy that everyone in this country deserves, that everyone in Georgia deserves, every one of our constituents deserves. We can fix these problems together, but we have to be willing to stand together in unity and move and go forward in unity together. I implore everyone that is on this call today, please remain committed to our futures, remain committed past today, past tomorrow, past this week, past this month. Remain committed to the very end. Our very lives depend upon it, just as the DeKalb Democrats have done here in Georgia. You know, we have to be committed. We cannot be fair weathered. Commit your life to something that is meaningful and vital, and that is making sure that we elect Democrats up and down the ballot, that we elect Vice President Biden, and we elect Kamala Harris to the White House. It's imperative that we do so. Make sure that we're electing Democrats that represent our morals and our values all across the ticket, here in Georgia. I know what it's like to commit your life to something that you believe in fighting for, something that is more fair, something that is more just, fighting for safety in our country. And that's what we're fighting for when we fight for this ticket. That's who we're electing when we elect Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris on this ticket. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this ticket, the most dynamic ticket that I believe that we've ever had in the history of Georgia since I've been living here. I'm glad to be a part of that ticket. And I'm glad to stand and fight with every single one of you to make sure that that dream becomes a fruition for every one of us. I find myself here fighting with you because I know how much is at stake. I know the stakes are high right now, and the stakes will even be higher if we do not do what we must do to make sure that this ticket is viable in November. I believe that what we've accomplished before up to now is just a tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that we can do together, and we've got to be able to win this fight. We're faced with extremism in this country unlike anything we have ever seen before. And trust me, there on the Hill in Washington, I can't even tell you all that we have experienced and all that we have seen. I want you to understand and know that my colleagues and I work every single day trying to be bridge builders, trying to make sure that everyone in this country, whether they be Democrat or Republican or independent or libertarian, has the ability to be able to live truly that sense of democracy that we all deserve. I don't want to see the country as divided as it is. None of my colleagues does. None of us do. So that is the reason why we must do our due diligence to make sure that we're fighting with every breath of our being to make sure that we are building bridges for investment in the nation for every one of us that has either if we've migrated here or we were brought here, we are all Americans. And that is what we must do here in Georgia to make sure we completely invest in the American dream for every single one of us. We will win this fight. I know we will, but we've got a lot of work to do yet. November 3rd is still a long way away. Continue to do what you're doing. Thank you so much, the Democratic Party of Georgia. Thank you so much, the DeKalb Dems, for the investment and the time and the value you continue to make. You are really, really making a difference. And I look forward to us winning this election strong in November.
Thank you so much, Lucy. We really appreciate you being here today. And we look forward to congratulating you on your win after November 3rd.